to cast this, because the things that they do will make more sense than the decision making of 500 MMR players. So AKM likes to go for Lumbermere first. So this build is weird, but it's standard AKM build, because you don't need barracks, you don't make footmen, you just need fast arcane tower, and you want to have a lot of lumber because you tech greedily. You get tier 2, often tier 3 greedily. And AKM really has only 2 or 3 strats usually. One is the mass rifles, tier 1 all in, which is not doing in this game clearly. The other one is mass casters, triple sanctum tier 2 all in, which might be this game. Or he likes to go fast tier 3 into knights and inner fire knights, so knights with support from priests, and then he just adapts to whatever the enemy is throwing at him. So he might be going tier 3 this game or tier 2, I don't know, because of course these guys know each other, there's gonna be a lot of mind games behind this. I didn't watch this Ichiban play in many years, so I don't know what's his current threat. He might be laming with wyverns, but he opens up with a barracks, so he might be all in, because we do see Wormmill and we do see Headhunter, so he might just be tower rushing AKM, because of course he knows that AKM doesn't make barracks usually. AKM is pretty weak against tower rushes, because it's pretty hard in Warcraft 3 to hold the tower rush if you don't have barracks and if you don't have defended footmen. It's possible, but it's not easy to hold. And we do see the Blood Mage harassing the peon line already. Nice flame strike hitting all of the peasants. The orc was a little bit slow with the reaction. So that's good for AKM. The first here is wasting time across the map. As you can see, he's not doing anything. He's not pressuring. He's not creeping. And the orc is suffering already. The orc is suffering already. The orc is suffering already. Jesus Christ. I think it's worth it to lose the Blood Mage here. You don't need to TP, you want to lose it, yeah. So you lose the Blood Mage, it doesn't matter, it's gonna come back from the altar with full HP, full mana. And that's totally worth it, because you gained so much time. As you can see, the orc is only now teching. And while you are already almost done with the tier 3. So this is a super fast tech. Tier 2, I mean, not tier 2. The tier 2 is almost done. And the orc has just started the tech. This is unheard of. Normally the orc is always faster than the human with the tech. Or same speed if the human goes for 2 farm tech when they open Archmage. But normally the orc is a little bit faster. But in this game, this is totally different, because AKM was able to maneuver himself into a position where he delayed the red orc, and the orc is basically fucked now. He needs to all in my opinion. Either all in, or turn this game into an ultra lame game. The lane fights, the lane fights. But the problem with Blood Mage, which I know by personal experience, is that it's not easy to turn it into a lame game, because the Blood Mage, once it gets high level with Flame Strike, it can always threaten your base. So you can make a lot of towers, you can make all the reinforced defenses you want, but there's nothing that's magic immune. So you don't have Arcane Tower as Orc, which means that the Blood Mage can always do this over and over and over. And it's just a pain to play the long game against the Blood Mage, because your tower, your base, that normally is a strength for Orc, when you play against Archmage and MK, especially if there's no Blizzard, against Blood Mage just doesn't work, because he's got Flame Spray. So AKM is in complete control of this game. The Orc is still level 2. Blood Mage is level 1, but don't get fooled, it doesn't matter. As long as the tech is going, as long as he's got his 2 heroes laming, the human is fine. Now he's got an Archmage without boots. Of course, the counter to this would be to get tier 2, get Lodge, get Witch Doctor, skill the Sentry Ward. I mean, you don't need to skill the Sentry Ward because Sentry Ward is the first ability of Witch Doctor. So just get your Witch Doctor, place Sentry Wards here, and this way you can prevent invisible Blood Mage shenanigans. Because what's gonna happen right now is that AKM is gonna start laming this base with invisible Blood Mage and invisible Archmage as well. And as I said at the beginning of the game, AKM only has got 2 or 3 builds, and I told you that he likes to go for Triple Sanctum, which is exactly what he's gonna do right now. Triple Sanctum. What's the Orc gonna do here? He's got nothing, he's got no workers, no reinforced defenses, he's getting a TC, he's trying to creep something, but AKM will just lame him over and over and over and over. While the Archmage is creeping. And once AKM is level 3 Blood Mage and level 3 Archmage, he will absolutely demolish the Orc army with area of effect damage. Because, as you know, or you might know it or you might not know it, Orc does not have magic immune units. Like, Orc doesn't have breakers. So everything that you hit with Flame Strike and Blizzard dies, including tier 3 units like Torrents, Bloodlusted Weavers, everything. There's nothing magic immune. And by the way, the economy for Ichiban is completely wrecked. It doesn't even have the wood to buy a shredder. TC is desperately trying to creep level 3, but it doesn't even matter, honestly. This game is as over as it gets, in my opinion. If it was 500 MMR, they could still throw it, but in this case, I don't see any way. That the human can possibly throw away this lead. The Orc does not really have a single advantage in this game. I'm not even sure that the reinforced defenses will do anything here. So he's not even researching it. Not that he can, because he doesn't have the wood. And he's trying to go Raiders, so he's trying to lane with Raiders. Probably he's gonna get Shockwave. That's my guess. Because normally when you get Raiders as Orc, you get Shockwave. And with the Shockwave and the Raiders, you can actually do a lot of damage to human base. I would like him to get a Zeppelin now and drop inside, like here. And just buy time with the Zeppelin. But the problem is, even if you do that and he's not doing that, the human can just counter-attack you with this 50 supply army and just demolish your base. Red is finding a creep jack. That's nice, but I don't think he can ever fight this. He needs the best shockwaves ever. And he's going Stomp. Why? Why? Why would you go Stomp? Why would you go Stomp? Stomp doesn't do anything here. You need Chain Wave. Imagine Wave. Wave and Chain Lightning, all of these casters would die. You would still lose to Breakers, but at least you kill the casters. But with the Stomp, yes, you kill a couple units, but I can't find a close game today. All the games I've casted today have been complete stomps. One freaking sided games. Like, these games have no history. It's pretty hard to hype these games because there's no way you can fake that the game is actually close when it isn't, when it clearly isn't. I'm trying to think what the orc could do, but I just don't see the answer. If it goes mass weavers, AKM will just make copters. It doesn't have blacksmith yet, so it's gonna... Maybe the orc could have made a couple weavers and try to snipe these casters, interrupting the Blizzard with Ensnare, because Ensnare can interrupt Blizzard. So raiders are actually good, but the problem is that the orc doesn't have any DPS to kill AKM's units. Except for Chain Lightning and Stomp, of course, but as I said before, Stomp is not nearly as good as Shockwave in this particular situation. Especially if you want to make it a lane game. And the raiders are the lane game, the lane units by definition. Okay, so I think like the orc needs to push now. You can't creep. Push and then speed scroll out. It does have a speed scroll, that's good. It's gonna be able to get some nice resources here, because I'm sure it does have pillage. It needs to have pillage, right? And now he's going for the peasants. See? This is what I'm talking about. If he has Shockwave now, all these peasants are dead. They're just dead. But he went Stomp. This guy is 1800 MMR, really? It's just so bad. Honestly, this is a rookie mistake to go Stomp here. You need Shockwave. So it's a deserved loss for Red here, because he didn't do anything right this game. Like, this idea was good, but the execution was not good because he forgot about Shockwave. Should have retrained to Shockwave at the shop here, kill all these peasants, then just speed scroll away and build an expo here in the meanwhile, and then just keep laning until eventually he's gonna have a big enough army to be able to sustain a fight versus AKM, which would still be really hard versus Breakers, Sorks, AoE, but that would have been the win condition. But with Stomp, it's just really hard in my opinion. The only thing that the orcs got in his favor is that the human doesn't really have vision on the map. It doesn't have words or anything, and the orc army is faster because we have endurance aura. But the problem is they're slow, and AKM was able somehow, without vision, without sentry wards, to predict the movement of the orc, so he expected him to come from this side, and he intercepted him, and now all of these raiders, they are insanely low and they're about to die. And the orc has to TP out, yeah, absolutely, before losing his entire army. Where's the Archmage? Ah, the Archmage died, okay, the Archmage died. I missed that part. I saw the notification, but I didn't really focus on that. So the Archmage was not in the fight, which is the only reason why these raiders are still alive. Otherwise, Archmage would have killed them with Blizzard.
플레이어의 병력이 공격받고 있습니다.
And we do see double Wyvern, which I kinda don't mind. I think it's the best you can make. He will not win the fight, don't make any mistake. He will still lose, but at this stage of the game, You can't make anything valuable, so I think this double wyvern is actually okay. To snipe, you can ensnare and snipe the swords, you know, with good micro, you could do that. Oh, see? I'm always right. So it's retraining to shockwave, finally, but he should have done it ages ago.
병력이 공격받고 있습니다. 마을이 공격받고 있습니다.
And now with the shockwave, the peasants will be in danger. But he's choosing to focus the tower. That's a tough decision to make, honestly, because AKM was already here to defend. The wyverns have been microed back correctly, but there's just too much. There's just too much. It's just... You can't kill anything. TC gets level 4. The only good thing for the orc is that raiders are very cost-efficient units, meaning that they don't cost too much. They give you back some resources because of pillage, so you can actually afford to lose some raiders. Also, they don't give too much experience, unlike wyverns. So even if you lose a bunch of raiders, you don't necessarily feed the enemy too much XP. So you can actually afford to lose a few riders, while you can never afford to lose wyverns, because wyverns are called flying XP tombs. They give insane experience when they die.
마을이 공격받고 있습니다.
So this game would still be somehow playable from the orc perspective if he had an expo, but the fact that he's one base versus two bases and his army is still inferior puts him in a bad position. However, AKM is very passive, is not pushing, is not interested in pushing, is just giving the orc a lot of time to maneuver himself back into the game, and now he's losing the expo. That's a huge mistake, perhaps the first mistake by AKM in this game. That was really bad. Honestly, it was really bad. He could have easily saved this expo just by TPing, and he does have a TP, but he chooses to creep the red camp instead and sacrifice his expo, and now the orc is laming it. And now the orc is laming, and this time the lame is effective, because the towers are down, peasants are suffering, AKM still has a lot of work, but the orc is gaining a little bit of ground. He can never win the fight though, so he needs to TP out before losing the TC. He wants to get additional pillage, so he's staying longer. He passes the TP, and he did a lot of damage. AKM needs to force a fight right now. At this point, it's tricky, honestly, because if you force the fight here, you need to kill these buildings very fast, because the orc with shockwave and raiders can kill your base faster than you kill his base. But then again, AKM had an insane amount of time. He had all the time in the world to make 5 towers instead of just 3 and just push the orc before when the game was over. Now his base is weak. Now he needs to camp here because he can't leave his base alone. And now the only thing he can do, which is exactly what he's doing, is laming the peasant line with the heroes. Yeah, this is good. This is the thing you have to do. And level 5 Blood Mage will absolutely demolish these burrows with, by the way, Pendant and Double Robe of the Magi. This Blood Mage will never run out of mana. Never. But the orc is counter-attacking, and the casters are suffering because of the double wyvern damage. Everything is polymorphed though. AKM is tier 3, so he researched polymorph. So the orc does not have any DPS except of his own hero's spells. And overall I think this was a good trade for AKM. But orc is now mining from the expo. So what could the orc do right now? What could you do if you were the orc except losing? You don't have dispel, you don't have walkers, you don't have shamans, so slow lasts forever, polymorph lasts forever.
플레이어의 병력이
So the orc cannot maneuver himself because everything is just everything is just polymorphed. Everything is just polymorphed and slowed. The expo dies to this attack. And the orc cannot lame anymore because he doesn't have dispel. He does have only one speed scroll. His army gets intercepted. AKM can easily turn this into a fight and win it. But the orc is able to snipe one orc and he will be laming again. But the expo is down. The only win condition for the orc, which was the expo, gets cancelled and AKM will now teleport back at his base, and in the meanwhile he managed to build some copters. However, AKM is out of gold now. The orc still has 1k gold, so he does have a little bit of gold advantage, even though he is still in a desperate position. Because AKM just has barely enough gold to re-expand, and he can just take this expo and camp this expansion. And if he defends this expansion, the game is over.
플레이어의 병력이 공격받고 있습니다.
And there's no way that the orc can win this fight. Oh, perfect polymorph. Shutting down those two bats. That was nasty. So I was trying to blow up the gyros with the bats, but the bats get polymorphed and yeah. Orc loses everything. You can never win this fight. I don't think you can win this fight even without gyros. Like, even if the human has no gyros, you still lose to the heroes and the casters. Plus the human actually had gyros, so even less of a chance for the orc. Let's now try to go in for masked bats. He's not even tier 3, so he cannot even get a tiny great hole. He should just leave. He should just leave. I would have left this game
플레이어의 병력이 공격받고 있습니다.
long time ago to save time and play another game, basically. Yes. I just don't see the win condition. There is no win condition.
마을이 공격받고 있습니다. 플레이어의 병력이 공격받고 있습니다.
And now we are laning with bots and wyverns. But 2 bots traded for 2 gyros is not good. Bots are way more expensive than gyros. Plus is losing 2 additional bots, and now he's gonna lose the wyverns as well. Now he's trying to lane the expo with raiders. He doesn't have gold anymore. He's still not living. He's still not living. Alright, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. There's nothing to cast about this game.
플레이어의 병력이 공격받고 있습니다. 마을이 공격받고 있습니다.
He's desperately trying to win by building elimination.
플레이어의 병력이 공격받고 있습니다.
But you just cannot sustain this, there's no way, because you don't have a second base. So the human will just kill your units one by one, and you can see now he's got an MK, he crapped his MK to level 2, and with the MK he's gonna be able to stop this lemming and shut it down, because he now has crowd control with the Stormbolt. The MK is taking a bunch of damage, but it shouldn't die here, because there's inner fire, there's priest healing, so the MK... Oh, actually, mistake by AKM, the MK dies. The game is still over, but that was a nice kill on the MK. Yeah.
공격받고 있습니다.
The TC needs to get the fuck out, because he's gonna die as well. Why is the TC overextending there? You can't run away, dude. You can't run away from the slow. He survives. No, he doesn't. GG.